So, g'day people, how you going today? And today, I think on a Friday, instead of teaching you a word, I'll just say something about Australian life and all aspects about Australia. Now, this time I'll just have a quick overview of the Australian internet and specifically net neutrality. Now, if you've lived in Australia, or you know anything about Australia, Australia doesn't have anything akin to the United States net neutrality. We have independent laws that govern how businesses actually run. And in general, businesses cannot have a monopoly on a certain section of the economy. And the ACCC, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, is the commission that regulates and implements laws governing the Australian economy. Now, one of those parts is the internet. And the internet is two parts. There's companies that provide the service and there's companies that provide the infrastructure. In the past, Telstra was the biggest infrastructure provider of the internet, in which service providers actually buy broadband on it. No, they buy megabytes or whatever. And the other one was Optus. They also sell usage rights to other companies anyway. So, I think net neutrality is important in the United States in that it has a very, very constricted type of internet company providers. So a certain area probably only has 1, 2 or 3 providers and there's not much ability to switch. But in Australia, I'll show you. Here in my northern Melbourne, here I have a list of internet providers I can choose from. Now, at the moment, I'm with Telstra, only because at the time, I think about 3 years ago, they were the only provider here. When I moved to this place in 2009, there was actually no internet providers that I could choose from. Now, all these are for the NBN, and if you're not too sure, the NBN is like a Australia-wide network built by the Australian government, but also using infrastructure that was already there, which the government either buys out or leases. A majority of it was from Telstra, but also Optus, and the Australian government would sell that infrastructure or sell the usage to these companies, and they would provide a price and also various other services as well. As you can see, Foxtel is on there. But the biggest one here is probably Optus. Now, you won't find all these companies in every place in Australia. They're probably in the larger cities. Some are in the smaller towns. In the very small towns, you probably have a very few of these. Telstra is probably one of them. Optus is probably another. But most of these are probably just city companies. And the NBN is run by the government. As I said, it sells this service to these companies. And the reason why we don't have a problem with these companies restricting the internet usage is that, well, here we've got at least 60, so if you have a problem with one of them, you just change it and move to another company. So that's a very powerful disincentive for a company to actually not restrict your access to certain websites, unlike in the United States. And also, we have the ACCC. So if a company tries, or if a group of companies try to restrict access, you can make a complaint to the ACCC. They'll investigate it, and if they find that they're colluding to dominate the market, the ACCC will take them to court or issue fines. This has happened in the past. I won't go into any specifics, man, because I don't, but I have read about them in the past. I just can't remember. Alzheimer's, man. Yeah, so net neutrality is not going to affect Australia. There is a website. Here is an article. That's a good article. Read, gives the basics. In this, see, you got the ACCC. It gives a link to the actual organisation. However, in Australia, there is a diverse selection of vendors. If one provider does something that you don't like, you can always switch to another. And here we open it to the ACCC, and this is the actual website that governs the laws related to business. Okay, and you can search it. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty tired today. Yeah, so that's basically the reason why Australia has no net neutrality. But there is a caveat. Australia does have some internet censorship laws, and they mainly relate to, illegal activities like child pornography, the selling of illicit drugs like heroin and cocaine, the sale of stolen items, probably human trafficking, probably restricting stuff that is classified as top secret. But yeah, most of those restrictions would apply to, basically every country, even the United States, where all that stuff is illegal, and so it is restricted. So if you do put on the internet, you're in a lot of trouble. Also, another thing, Australia has no freedom of speech. So, but the High Court, in its rulings, it runs like there is a freedom of speech as their interpretation of the Constitution, but legally, no Australian has a freedom of speech, so we cannot actually say whatever we want. I don't really want a freedom of speech, really, because I don't really agree with people's ability to be racist. I don't care what race they are and what race they target. You target the individual, not where they come from. So, thank you very much for watching my little crappy video on net neutrality in Australia, for which there is none. And have an awesome day, mate.